Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to St. Paul's Episcopal Church and to the 2023 Lenten Lunch and Speaker Series. My name is Charlie Dupree, and I'm the rector of St. Paul's. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. Please join me in a word of prayer. The world is alive with your goodness, O God. It grows green from the ground and ripens into the roundness of fruit. Its taste and its touch enliven our bodies and stir our souls. Generously given, profusely displayed, your graces of goodness pour forth from the earth. As we have received, so free us to give. As we have been granted, so may we give. Amen. Legend has it that the Lenten lunch at St. Paul's has been around since 1897. 1897. There was once a time when we've had preachers and lunches served every day during the season of Lent. But over the years, we've had to make necessary adjustments to bend and to shape to our changing contexts. The series now intentionally includes people from different faiths, different backgrounds, and different ways of expressing spirituality. As the old Jesuit saying goes, everything is of God, and God is in everything. I really believe this, which is why the series now includes people we may encounter in the everyday. Artists, poets, authors, priests, rabbis, even chefs. Through it all, in person or online, the mission of the Lenten series has been the same: to cultivate a loving community, to create spaces in which we think about our lives as spiritual human beings that share responsibility for one another, and provide a tasty meal and offer hospitality. Which brings me to our topic for the 2023 season, Around the Table, a spirituality of cooking, eating, hospitality, and hanging out. For centuries, communities and civilizations have been shaped around food. What happens when we come together to eat? Does something happen when we gather around the table? Something holy? I believe it does. And for the next now 3 weeks, we're going to spend time talking to local artists, chefs, and entrepreneurs who have dedicated their lives to the food and beverage industry. Our speaker today is Michael Lindsey. Executive chef Mike Lindsey was raised in eastern North Carolina, spending time with his Gullah Geechie parents, mother and father. Mike learned to cook everything from Southern classics to pit-smoking whole hog barbecue. Mike grew up in a true farm-to-table environment with his family. This upbringing gave him a true passion for cooking with fresh ingredients. Mike is now the chef, owner, founder of Lindsey Food Group with restaurants Lillie Pearl, Buttermilk and Honey, Jubilee, Bully, and ML Steak Modern Chophouse. Today, his wife, Kim, sits in the front row. Please help me welcome Michael Lindsey. All right, your microphone on?
Yes, I'm ready.
Good. Well, Michael, what do you prefer?
You know, whatever you want to call me is fine. Most
Okay.
people call me Mike, so it's
Mike.
good.
All right. I may call you Michael because I have another friend named Michael, and
That's it.
I've just been calling you Michael for the last 3 months as we've been putting this thing together.
That's right. Yeah, hey,
Welcome.
My mom calls me Michael, so it's good.
All right. I'm so
Yes.
glad you're here. Welcome.
Yes.
We're
Thank
excited to
you.
have you. Kim, welcome. We're excited to have you as well. Tell us just a little bit about your growing up.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of it. My dad was in the military, So, we spent some time in San Antonio, Texas. My dad's from Pittsburgh, my mom's from North Carolina. We eventually ended up moving back to North Carolina when I was 8th grade. So kind of a culture shock for me. Initially, I didn't love it. Lived in the country, dirt roads kind of country. But it was, hands down, probably the best thing that ever happened to me. It really lets you realize life is about who you are, judging people on who they are, not about things or houses or cars or shoes or, I think a lot of things you get tied up to in other places. We're in an area where no one has a lot of anything. It's really about who you are, who your character is. So
Cool. Now, I did not reveal this to you.
Yeah.
I was saving it.
All right.
I also grew up in Eastern North Carolina.
Wow. So
Yeah.
You understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I grew
Yes.
up near Tarboro, North
Yes,
Carolina.
I know that area very well.
Okay.
Yes.
And where's the city or?
I'm from Jones County,
Okay.
Pollocksville. Yeah.
All right. I was in Edgecombe County. Where was your favorite place to get barbecue?
My favorite place to get barbecue is Moore's Barbecue in New Bern, North Carolina.
New
it's
Bern.
New
Right,
Bern. Yep.
right.
So, when you live in the little towns, New Bern is where you go to town to go grocery shopping, go to the store, because, it's the Sunday trip that you make
Right.
after church. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Now, the Neuse River runs through New Bern.
Yes.
Were you affected in any way by that sort of culture of fishing and boats and water?
Yeah, 100%. I think that culture alone, white, black, it didn't matter. Fishing, boating, hunting. Even teaching in school, they teach you how to shoot shotguns and rifles in middle school. It's just a culture of life there where hunting and, surviving were the ways to do everything. So you were kind of taught that as a child.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Cool. And you're Gullah Geechie.
Yeah.
All right, that's in your bio. Talk about that. What does that
All
mean?
right, so my grandmother Hattie, that's my dad's mom, is from Sumter, South Carolina. And Gullah Geechie, is a connection between the slaves being brought to the Atlantic and kind of spending that time in the Myrtle Beach area of Atlanta and kind of where they kind of developed their own little world, their own little city there. And then, of course, descendants moved on. But, the language has a little bit of a Creole in it. So she, sometimes when we were younger, it's kind of hard to understand what she was saying. She was, hey, boy, you're going on vacation? We're going to come see you. And, she always had these ways. She couldn't pronounce anybody's name right. It was one of those things. But I just remember her just being an incredible woman and, how that South Carolina culture mixed with North Carolina, how different. Her sister would bring her 50-pound bags of rice from South Carolina. She had to have South Carolina rice or grits, canned salmon and mackerel. Had to be a certain brand that she grew up with. So she was an incredible cook.
What do you remember her? What dish do you remember of hers?
I tell this story a lot. She kind of taught me the balance between savory and sweet. So she always made great apple turnovers. So she was making apple turnovers and she didn't have any shortening. So she used the leftover fried chicken grease. And I was just like, Grandma, what are you doing? You about to mess these things up. Incredible. Huh? Incredible. The salt with the sweetness of the apples and the pastry. I should do it. It should be on the menu somewhere, yeah. But, she really just taught me that there's no rules to cooking. Okay. I didn't go to culinary school. I kind of went through the school of hard knocks and, got in restaurants and kind of worked my way up. But I kind of cook the same. I don't really have any rules. I kind of, wing some things. And if they come together and they taste incredible, whether untraditional or not, it's just kind of about putting the flavors together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking back on your life, when did you think I'm going to be a chef or open up restaurants? And I
Yeah.
think there are difference between the two, and I want to
Yeah.
talk about that later. But was there a moment when you were like, I think this is what I'm going to be about?
Yeah, I was in college, playing football, Elizabeth City State. I was in my second year. My girlfriend got pregnant. I decided to leave school, came home, just looking for a job. There was a new restaurant opening in New Bern, a Scratch Italian restaurant. I got a job there. And initially I enjoyed it. It kind of took place of that energy football gave me, that preparedness, the craziness, the sweating. I don't know, all the things you love about football.
All the things you love about
Yes.
football.
Yes. yeah. But it replaced that. And being that I was able to connect those two, I was able to be very successful doing it. So I started out as like a salad, dessert, fry cook. A year later, I was the kitchen manager. And then that's when I kind of realized that, wow, I love this. I make good money. I can take care of my family. You know, I was able to get a house and car and, you know, do things that adults do. And I fell in love with it. And that's when, maybe a year in, I knew I would probably, some form of fashion, do that forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when was your first big break?
Man, I say getting that opportunity to be the kitchen manager of Ragazzi's, that Italian restaurant, to me was my biggest break because the GM just believed in me, right? I'm a regular old little country boy from Pollocksville. You know, I had a little edge to me, you know, I was 22, but he just believed in me. He took me under his wing, he taught me everything. He also put me in the front of the house so that I would understand the balance of customer service, how important service is to the food industry. I think sometimes when you don't cross that line, the kitchen is kind of, you know, it's like in the background, you kind of do what you want, kind of say what you want, but of course in the front, it's a face you have to keep on. And then you have to learn how to enjoy that so that it's authentic. So I was able to learn that, but then transport that to the kitchen. And then I think that's what really made me turn into a great chef.
Okay. Yeah. So talk about the difference between being a chef and a restaurant owner, because they aren't always the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Start there. I mean,
you know, my plan, Kim and I's plan, was never to own our own restaurants. We were able to work our way up. I got to work at some great restaurants, get some great experience. When we moved to Richmond, I worked for Eat Restaurant Partners. So I got to create the menus for Red Salt, Hot Chick, PBR, Fatty Smokes, Long Tacos. So it gave me the outlet to create and to feel the love and the energy of doing that without having the financial responsibilities and stress. And then, of course, the things that go with that ownership. And then, you know, 2020 comes and things get shaken up a little bit. And I think we did an incredible job working at Eat. Kim was the director of operations over all 13 restaurants. I opened 5 concepts for them. We said, why not? Well, I said, why not?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, and one of the things you said I could ask you about was working with your wife.
Yeah.
Full time, right?
Full time.
Okay, talk about that. Kim, you can come up too and grab the microphone if you need to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the incredible piece with Kim and I, since the day we met, we've just been good people, good friends. We have a great relationship. We see business the same way. You know, we both kind of had that workaholic mentality when we met. You know, we understand how, you know, that's a problem now. But when you meet someone, they have to kind of be the same. If not, they're not going to understand the days you work, the hours you work. I'm going to be home at 7, but you get home at 10. And, you know, and that can create relationship problems that both of us kind of went through. So we built our relationship on that, and, you know, we got married, and we were together, and I don't know, she's my best friend, right? We do everything together. I think a big piece of that is our visions align, and we're able to hold each other accountable, right? I think a lot of people in their relationships have boundaries that you don't cross, that you don't get into. Kim and I's boundaries are pretty thin. So we're able to talk about work and be at work and, you know, go at it sometimes. You know, GM and chef disagreeing on a situation and, you know, throwing up a couple of fires. But when we leave and we go home, we're Mike and Kim. And we leave work at work. And we've always been able to do that. So building this with her has been incredible. She's my #1 fan. I'm her #1 fan. And then we have an incredible respect for each other. If she tells me she doesn't really like something, I try to talk her into it. And she says, we're not doing it. I try to talk her into it. Number 4 is when I stop. And then I respect what that is. And I think that works vice versa.
All right. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
And you got a little boy.
Yeah. I have a 27-year-old. I have a 22-year-old. I have a 17-year-old. And then I have a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old with
All right.
Kim over here.
All right. And you said your parents are living with you.
Yeah, my parents sold their house in North Carolina, moved in with us when we opened Lillie Pearl, and again, they're the backbone of Lindsey Food Group. They've allowed us to get Lillie Pearl to a space where it has become a go-to restaurant in Richmond, and allowed us, you know, to open 7 restaurants in 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's
with the 2-year-old.
I would imagine that's not typical.
I think it's a little ambitious.
Okay.
It's a little ambitious. Yeah.
All right, this is a question I've been wanting to ask. What makes you turn an idea into a restaurant?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Is there a gap out in the world that you want to fill? Is there something that you feel like needs to be voiced?
Right.
Maybe put that beside Lillie Pearl, and what made you want to manifest that?
Yeah, so usually what I do is it's kind of like a creative process. You know, like writing a song or painting a picture or, you know, putting a book together. I build the concepts as they come to me. Usually I'll have the name, I'll build out the logo, and then what I'm waiting for is the space. So most times I've already have the concept kind of at least outlined. And Lillie Pearl was just that. I had it already there. It was already in my pipeline. And the space spoke to it. You know, that old pasture space was perfect to be Lillie Pearl. If you go in there now, I think it could never be anything else but Lillie Pearl.
Who's Lillie Pearl?
So Lillie Pearl is my grandmother, my mom's mom. Grandma Hattie is my Gullah Geechie and a little bit more spirited grandmother. Lillie Pearl was the super sweet grandmother. She could cook. That's where everybody went to hang out. All the aunts and uncles. You know, she always kind of had the cool music on. It's where the cards were being played. You know, you just remember that vibe there, just being so inviting. And as we put Lillie Pearl together, I wanted to pay homage to all my grandparents. But naming it Lillie Pearl made it special because of thinking of a restaurant, of being of service, hospitality, being that place where you get that hug. It just made the most sense.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, maybe we can talk a little bit more about spirituality.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the premise of our time here, you know, this is the table, our Eucharist happens every single Sunday.
Right.
Bread, wine, we gather around the table. Whether we like each other or not, whether we agree with each other or not,
That's right.
we still come around the table.
Yeah.
And there's something holy about that.
Yeah.
What is the spirituality of hospitality for you? Is there anything holy about 11 o'clock at night at Lillie Pearl.
I think it is. I think, the biggest piece of, to me and the way I was raised, food is the focal point of all things, right? If you have nothing, you have food. You have the ability to make yourself happy through that. And that's kind of what I grew up with. So, you leave church, Sundays, it's gonna be fried chicken. Mama's already cooked it. It's waiting for you. You get there, whether your cousins or your friends or whoever come over, you're around the table. I think that piece to me is what being a service in the restaurant business is. That's what it comes from, that spiritual piece of being together, breaking bread together, fellowship. That's why, one of the mottos in our restaurants are come as you are. No matter how fancy you feel like it is, you want to be a great date night, you want to dress up, do it. You want to come in sweatpants, do it. We serve everyone. It's a place to fellowship. And I think we've done an incredible job with that in Lillie Pearl and having an incredible mix of people that can enjoy a space at one time together. And it's amazing to sit back and look at what we've been able to do with that and truly attest that to spirituality, to the connection with God and the celebration of fellowship and breaking bread and all those things,
Yes, is that what you want your diners to come away with? I mean, they 100%. Want the food to be tasty, but I would imagine there's more more in that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one of the pieces for Kim and I is that hospitality piece. I think that just goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. And that's what makes all of our restaurants special. Even if you go to Buttermilk and Honey, which is a fast casual concept, we don't have people taking orders and just, hey, how you doing? What's your name? You wanna, right? You come in, you do it yourself, but we assist you if you need it. But the goal is for us to make eye contact, say hello, welcome to Buttermilk and Honey, and be able to come around, see how your food was, and kind of change that fast casual aspect, again, to give that level of love and service and hospitality to make sure that when people leave, like, man, the food's great, but the service was a 10.
Nice.
The hospitality was a 10. The owner came by and spoke to us. The managers came by. We have a system in our restaurant where we want a manager to greet, check in midway, and say goodbye. Because, again, that's a welcoming piece. Not all restaurants do that. We're not able to do that every time. But if we push that as a goal, I think we create a different level of service.
Yeah. Do you think I was going to ask, do you think that's missing in the world today?
100%. Getting people to buy into what it is that you do. I say it all the time, and it sounds funny, but, Chick-fil-A does an incredible job at that. Being able to get 17-year-olds to humble themselves and be hospitable. It's hard to get adults to do it. To go to a table and care, to smile, to be of service. So, when we hire people, we tell them, are you of service? Is this something that you truly love, or is it a job that you want? And we decide how we hire you based on that. Not everybody makes it, but a lot of people understand it. They get on, and I think we are able to give people who don't have that or don't understand that, be able to give that to them in a way that they can carry that out into the world.
So humility goes a long way in your biz.
I think it's everything.
Yeah.
I think it's everything. It doesn't matter what a guest does or what they say. That's not our judgment.
Okay.
I think it's just about doing what's right.
All right, well, I'm going to turn that on its head. What drives you nuts from the diner's perspective?
That's why I work in the kitchen.
It's got to get back there to you, though.
I don't have a lot of patience for it. Yeah.
What drives you crazy?
I think, there's so many things. There's so many
Speaking
things.
as one who eats out a lot.
Yeah, there's so many things. But, we understand what those things are. When people complain, I take that as feedback to get better. When someone says they didn't enjoy something, I take that as feedback to get better. If someone tells me the collard greens are too spicy 4 times in a night, they're too spicy. We're changing it, right? If one person tells me, baby, this is hot, and no one else says it, I'll say, yo, yes, ma'am, we're gonna work on that for you, you know? But to the masses, it's hard to please everyone on the level that they perceive it when they come in. You know, some people come in and everything has to be the way that they want it as they cook it, and then some people want to come and enjoy someone else's cooking.
Right.
For us, you know, I was joking earlier, but we take it all with stride. People send us complaints. We send it to the team. We respond immediately. We take it serious because if we want to be great and we want to be of service, want to be hospitable, the people who didn't enjoy their time for whatever reason that is, there's some levity to it. And we just have to look at it that way. I've learned, you know, over the years not to let it rub you the wrong way. And the blessings are that, you know, I don't know, year 28, 29, ever how long I've been doing this, I was able to nip that kind of pettiness, you know, early on in my career and understand that it's very important to make sure that we blend those things together.
Yeah.
So it's not hard. I think you know what you get when you do it, you know? And if you don't want to deal with that, then you can't do it because that's part of it. Yeah.
People never complain to me. All right, let's talk about what's it been like to be a person of color in this industry.
Man.
You know, I'm thinking about being in North Carolina, what that might have been like, transition into Richmond.
Yeah.
Have you met any obstacles?
Yeah, you know, I've been blessed in the sense that it's never been, you know, a contact situation where it's just, you know, blatant situation. But of course, I think the underlying is probably the most dangerous or the most hindering if you don't understand how it works. So for me, you know, being a chef, being in a business that's truly driven by white males.
Is that the case?
Very, very much the case. Very much the case. And, you know, starting this in 95, 96, you kind of see early on that your work has to be flawless. Your work has to be plus the guy next to you for the opportunity to come to you. You have to learn how to navigate conversations. You have to learn how to navigate things in a way that takes you outside of who you are and basically, you know, how you were raised to make sure those things work. You know, I think a lot of things that I got, and, you know, I guess you start to understand it a little bit, you know, as I get older, but, you know, I kind of have a big persona. You know, I was, back when I was in shape, you know, I was a good-looking guy, you know. I think that all those things can feel, you know, threatening. Aggression was always a big word, right, used with me. You're really aggressive, you know. So I changed, and I changed to fit the mold that was going to allow me to continue to move up, to be successful, and take care of my family. You know, and when you look back on it now, you're just like, wow, that was crazy. You know, how you have to do things and how strong you have to be. But I'm thankful for it now that I went through those things and that I was able to excel and persevere, because when I mentor these young chefs now and these young people of color and these Latinos and everybody who's kind of fighting for a piece, I can teach them so many things that's going to help make them successful, but allow them to be themselves in a space and still be able to move up. And, you know, I think that's the balance now. I think America has accepted that change, that we can be ourselves, we can be who we are. We can laugh, we can talk loud, we can, whatever it is that used to be wrong, we create our spaces to be ourselves. We create our spaces for people to come in and have fun. I created a steakhouse so that we can get together and be loud and be ourselves.
Right.
And I think that's what's important is taking what I've learned and being able to push that in a way that is going to make the next generation, the generation after that, even better.
Seems like mentoring is really important in the culinary world as a passing it down. I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to go out to you all. Yeah. My question is, who are your chef/restaurant heroes?
That's a good question. For me, as funny as it's going to sound, I learned to cook a lot of the food that I cook. Gordon Ramsay and Bobby Flay. Mm-hmm. And it's just YouTube, right? The crispy skin salmon that you get at Lillie Pearl, I learned that from Gordon Ramsay.
All right.
So, I didn't go to culinary school, so I dedicated myself to the industry through that social media piece. That's why I think it's even more incredible that we own 7 restaurants and that people love our food and all these things, because I'm able to just do homework and twist it in a way where, most people probably think I went to culinary school. Who did I work under? Who was my mentors? I just didn't have any of those. So now I just try to make sure I'm that for the next generation.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Let's move out here. Who has a question? What? A handout today. It looks like there's not one. Oh, yeah, it's in there's a brochure. Anybody have a question? Yes.
Hi, and I'm glad you're here, Mike,
Yes,
Michael, and Kim. My question is, the restaurant that I went to first that was yours, or you were the chef, was Spoon Bread?
That's Michael Hall. The other black chef. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, he's a very nice guy, and I'm always fine being mistaken by him. It's cool. It's cool.
Well, my next restaurant's going to be Lillie Pearl.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Who has a question? Dashelle. Everybody, this is Dashelle. She works at St. Paul's.
All right. All right.
Hello. So my question is, what is your process on creating a recipe? So are you going into it saying that you want a taste for something, or are you just throwing a bunch of things in and seeing what sticks? What is the process from start to finish?
So that's a good question. Usually I have a vision for the plate or the recipe or the sauce, and then usually I'll just build it from there. Let's say a popular dish we have is our peach cobbler bread pudding at Lillie Pearl. So a lot of people are like, how did you come up with this? So bread pudding is a funny thing. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't eat it. But it's very, very easy to cook. I'm a chef, not a pastry chef. I don't bake. But you have to find ways to be creative with desserts. So I took it one day, we cut it up, and I was like, all right, let's do a peach cobbler bread pudding. And then we tried it, and I was like, okay, this is okay, but I don't really like it. And then we're just sitting in there, and I was like, let's throw it in the fryer, see what happens. Why not? Threw it in the fryer, and I was like, it tastes like little French toast sticks. I was like, this is delicious. Had this beautiful crust on it. So then we put the compote on it and the sauce, the maple cream sauce. And I was like, wow, this is good. Let's try it out and see what happens. And it turned out to be kind of an iconic dessert for us, yeah.
All right. Who else has a question?
Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Could you share with us what you think for each restaurant that you own is the best entree?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The
Y'all get out
best
your
is
pens.
the best for me or the best selling? Best for me. Lillie Pearl entree, smothered pork chop. We sous vide the pork chop so that it's beautiful and it's tender. And then we put it back in the grill and bring it up. And then we serve that with a spicy Hoppin' John with red beans, rice, Holy Trinity in that. And then we finish it with a shallot cream sauce. So kind of like an old school thought, but a new school way to do it so it's not mushy or kind of unattractive. But if you go to Lillie Pearl's website, as soon as you open it, it's right there. It's a picture of it. Jubilee, I would definitely say the lamb chops there. We rub it in a Mediterranean spice. We serve it with a lemongrass coconut curry, and it comes with a tabbouleh, which is a couscous that has fresh herbs in it, mint, parsley. That's my favorite there. Buttermilk and Honey, Southern Hospitality chicken sandwich there. Fried chicken breast, smoky honey mustard, think Chick-fil-A sauce. Pimento cheese, collard greens, and bacon on the sandwich is very good. ML Steak, the ribeye there is my favorite. We do a herb butter, a house steak sauce. Bully Burger, the Big Mike, which is my version of the Big Mac. So, think of a Big Mac probably when it was first created and it wasn't as quick and as fast. It's really good. We do that at Bully Burger at Hatch Local. Did I hit all the restaurants?
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Sheena.
Thanks for being here. I bought my first car with my earnings as a waitress. So I have a question related to staff. How do you attract, retain, and train staff so you don't have high turnover?
Yeah, I think that's important. We put our staff before we put our guests. And that's important because the people that work for you need to feel the most important so that they do an incredible job to retain guests. So what we've been able to do is we have a higher pay rate for servers, bartenders, and then, they share the tip pool. I think that helps with buying a house, buying a car. I think most places run on 213. Then they're dependent on the guests giving them the tips. Sometimes that gets a little cloudy. And then, of course, in the kitchen, we're just able to pay more and just take care of people. I think Kim and I are good owners. We think about our team at a very high level, but we hold people highly accountable as well. So it makes the work environment understandable. I think you know what we want from you, what we expect from you, and it keeps the lines a little clean and clear. We hate to get rid of people, but I think it's easier and kind of gives us a leg up on retaining people. And then we're growing. I think growing is always attractive to a person who wants to do more, who wants to become in management and those things. So I think that helps bring people to us because they do see our energy. And all the restaurants are busy. Again, that creates opportunity for fulfillment. You feel like you work at a great place, a great job, it's popular, and you get to make good money. So I think it's a balance of all. It's never a perfect world. Every person that works for us has their way, but I never talk bad or disrespect anybody who comes to join us because, it's a workforce and a business that has been exposed for being terrible. And our goal is to make that right. Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? Yes. I'll make my way. Have you seen The Bear
Yes.
on Hulu?
Yes.
Is it like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Christine.
It is not like that.
I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One, I think you said you went like Newman's barbecue?
Moore's barbecue.
Moore's barbecue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
In North Carolina, I like Newman's barbecue.
You like Newman's?
Newman's
Okay.
and Freeman's.
Where's Newman's?
It's in Henderson,
Oh, Henderson.
off
Okay.
of North Carolina Road.
Okay.
They have Newman's and Forsyth's right back to back, but I like Newman's better.
Okay.
And the next question is keto foods, which is low carb, is popular now. Do you cater to that?
Absolutely. We cater keto, vegan, vegetarian, even at the steakhouse, even at Buttermilk and Honey, our fried chicken concept, we have vegan, gluten-free. So I think, again, it's about knowing the audience, knowing where people are going, knowing what people like, and making sure that we touch that. People want it. You know, I think there was a time chefs were like, oh, I'm not doing anything vegan, I'm not doing this. But, you know, in your country, vegetables are just as important as the protein. You know, like you could eat a plate of vegetables in the South and be fine. So to me, vegetables are very important. So, yes, man. Yeah.
We got to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Thank you for being here.
Yes,
You
yes,
have
thank
been
y'all.
a blessing.
Appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you, thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes.
Next week, we have Chef Amadullah Nori, who is the owner of the Mantu in Carytown and a Food Network contestant. Do you know him?
Yes, great guy.
All right, so he'll be here next week. Don't forget to order today for your lunch reservation for next week. You're welcome to go over to the parish hall and pick up your lunch. They are ready for you. If you would like to leave a contribution with us to support the series, you can put your contribution in the wooden boxes back in the back of the church, or Barbara Holly has a collection plate. And I think that is it. I hope you have a beautiful day. May you be blessed, and may you be a blessing to others.
Ooh, nice.
Have a good one.
I like it. Very nice.